Guys, I've had every intention of showing you a cold start on this 62 Impala two-door sports coupe that I have. And then I sat down in the car and went blank and went ahead and started it. I haven't started this car probably since October or November of last year. So I'm gonna let it warm up here for just a minute. It started really easy. This is a really good car. I'll pull it out here in just a minute. I don't want to smoke up the garage. So, but I am gonna let it warm up for just a minute. And I don't want no carbon monoxide detectors going off. I'll see if it'll go. I'll let it kind of coast out here. Really didn't let it warm up very good, but I've had them carbon monoxide detectors go off before, and it's hard to get them to go out. Just kind of letting it coast out here a little bit. I'll let it sit right here. Oh, what a mess. Tires look to be good, as far as air, I mean. Yeah, it looks good. I haven't started this car in a long time, and I do go out in the garage and hook the battery up to it and you know, spin the engine over it, but I haven't started it in a long time. So hang on just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Had a phone call. I've had this car probably, I know I'm repeating myself every time I pull this car out, but I'm just going to make it real short and sweet as far as the story goes. It's one family owned 62 Impala. My uncle bought it new in 1962 in Sand Mountain, Alabama. So it's always been a southern car, Alabama, and then here to Tennessee. And I've had it for, heck, maybe longer than, maybe 35. I've had it a long time, in the 30s. I got it probably in about 84, 85. I'm just trying to remember. Anyway, it is what it is. It's still got the 283 in it with the original Power Glide. It's pretty much all original except for the wheels. And I put dual exhaust on it back years ago. Still good. Put the bumper guards on it on the back. There's my plane. I've redone the trunk, you know, splatter patter. Bought this, I guess call it vinyl, that was original to these cars back in the day. Redone the trunk. I still got to put my spare and jack in there. There's still a lot to do on this car, but it just seems like I don't have much time. These wheels are, see, the back ones, I know somebody will probably ask me, and I'll see if I can find a size, 275 35 18s, American Racing. And the fronts are 245 40 17s. I bought these wheels used years ago from a guy that had them on a 1960 Impala wagon, I think he said. Anyway, doesn't matter now anyway. I put the grill guard on it, which is, they might reproduce these things now, but back in the day, they didn't. I was real fortunate to get this. The first time I laid eyes on this car, I was 5 years old. I'm 64 now, and my uncle sold insurance, Life of Georgia insurance, out of this car. And he had to have a good, reliable car. He traveled everywhere. This car has got a gazillion miles on it. And he drove it for years. But as I said, the first time I seen the car, I was 5. And I was at my grandparents' house on top of Sand Mountain in Alabama. They call it Sand Mountain because it's just sand. It's like the beach. It's just sandy soil. And I was outside playing with my little cars out in the sand, making roads and stuff like that. So my uncle pulled up. I could see him coming. They lived way out in the country, way out in the country. And I could see him coming way down the road, something coming, this car. And I didn't know it was his. I didn't know it was him. So he finally got to my grandparents' farm and pulled up in the driveway. And of course, by then I could see it was my uncle. So I couldn't take my eyes off this car. This is the original colors, by the way, white and blue. And there's no rust, that's just primered spots. Anyway, there's no rust in the car. All original panels. And it's pretty much original. I mean, I could put it back like it was. Anyway, getting back to the story, I'm sorry, I flip-flop sometimes, just hanging there with me. But I run up to the car and I told my uncle, who was filling out paperwork on the steering wheel of the car. So he was sitting there and I told him, I said, this is the prettiest car I've ever seen in my life. Keep in mind now I'm 5 years old. And I said, would you save this car for me? And he just kept writing, nodded his head, said, yeah, all this stuff. So anyway, he kept writing, but I didn't know it. But my grandmother, because I was so looking at this car, I mean, I thought it's the prettiest car I'd ever seen in my life. And I've always been into cars and trucks, but when it come down the road, it was just so dang pretty to me. And it still is to me. But my grandmother had come out the screen door because she heard somebody pull up, I guess, or seen me checking on me, more than likely. But anyway, she heard she was standing behind me, and I didn't know that she was. And she heard me ask my uncle to save this car for me. Well, when my uncle, as I said, he drove all over this, several different states here in the South selling insurance. So when he wore the car slap out, my grandmother and grandfather bought it from him. And this was the only car. My grandparents, I know I've said this before, but my grandparents were rich with love and rich, good health. And they were very blessed people. And I was very blessed to have them, but they did not have any money. They struggled, I'll say. They didn't have indoor plumbing on their farm. I mean, they were struggling. And but my grandmother bought this car, and she saved it for me the whole time. They just had this one car to drive, and my grandmother was the only person that drove. My grandfather didn't. My grandfather, bless his heart, he had a mule and a cow, and I think he had a hog at one time, chickens, stuff like that, but he never did drive a car. My grandmother done all the driving. So anyway, she saved it for me, and as time went on, they finally graduated to a 64 Chevy Impala, 4-door, black with red insides. It's a pretty car, but everything they had, was used, on the brink of being completely worn out. So they got the Impala, the black one, and my grandmother stuck this in the little makeshift garage that they had. And one day, I'm going to say 1985, she called me and asked me if I wanted the car, and I tried to pay for it. I'm making this story shorter. If you'd like to hear the whole story, go back through my videos, and I get long-winded. So anyway, I I wound up getting the car from my grandmother for $1, even though I tried to pay her much more for the car. I checked it all out before I left Alabama and drove it all the way back here to East Tennessee, about 120 miles or longer. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, it made it just fine. 283 with a power glide. I've had the car repainted once back to the original colors that it was. It needed some attention. I've got the interior redone. I've done some horse trading around and got some white interior, even though it's supposed to be blue. The original inside is blue, white with blue. I put this 59 Impala steering wheel on it. I know I've said this 100 times, but that's my favorite steering wheel of a Chevy, or one of anyway. It looks good on this car in my opinion. And you know, I've done some little custom touches here and there, nothing that can't be undone real easy. The glove box is from a 61 Impala. Used to, back in the day, you know, you could find a 61 or 62 Chevy lying around, but you don't find them anymore anyway around here. So anyway, I'm trying to make this story shorter so I don't bore you to death. But like I said, custom touches. I put the 327 emblems on. It's really a 283. 327 has the cross flags. 283 just has the V with a red, white, and blue. But I just think the 327 emblems look better. Now, if you had a 409, you had all this and it would say 409 on the bottom. But I just like the cross flags there. And I bought new things for the car over the years, here and there, you know, emblems and stuff like that. I bought new door mirrors. They're correct ones with the little bow tie that's embossed into the mirror. This car needs a good cleaning up. I apologize. I don't spend enough time with this car, but I'm in love with this car. Does that make any sense? I have been, I know y'all's heard this before, but you know, sometimes life happens, and I knew I never did want to sell this car. I couldn't sell it because my grandparents went through so much to hang on to this car for me. So I've always messed with vehicles that if I had to sell them, which I have had to sell them lots of times, in order to make bills or whatever, that, you know, tragedies that's come up, divorces, stuff like that. A lot of things. I'm on my third marriage, by the way. So finally, third time's a charm for me. Anyway, I never did put much money in this because I was always afraid something would happen. But I mean, I could put some money in this, but I could sell it. I mean, it doesn't have the emotional value that this one does, or the history that this one does in my family, in my life. So anyway, just thought I'd show you this little car. I didn't mean to make the video so long, but sorry, I'm shaking. It's a good little old car. It runs good, and there's still some things I need to fix on the car. Maybe I'll try to address them this summer. Last summer, with all the COVID and all, you know, everything else that was going on, we just pretty much just kind of stayed home. So my wife and I mean, this is PIB. So anyway, I appreciate y'all watching the video. Let me know what you think about this 62 Impala. I've named this car, in case you're a new person, I've named this car Whitey because, well, obviously it's white, but the reason is my grandparents had a chicken on the farm, and it was a pet chicken. I mean, my grandmother would go out every day and gather eggs, and I would go with her and we'd gather eggs. But they had one chicken that was just real friendly, and its name was Whitey. So I thought, in honor of them, I would name this car Whitey because, you know, it's just sentimental to me. Anyway, appreciate you watching the video. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know. I'll try to get it out more often, but this is one of those days, if I don't do it today, I don't know when the next warm day that like this that won't be raining. So I'm gonna get at it and get a few things done before the clouds roll in. I hope y'all's having a great day. God bless each and every one of y'all. And I'll catch y'all in the next video. I hope Primered is Best is what you're watching. I have a second one called Chevy Trucks. Thanks for watching this. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day. God bless. See you later.